What is up, guys? We are live. Welcome to Hoops from the Hills. My name is Mountaineer Paul. Appreciate you guys for being here with me on your weekend. I'll be having a guest to join me here pretty shortly, John Varlas from the Daily Memphian. To outline today's show, Bob Huggins is in the news, and he was pictured in Akron yesterday in an event with a lot of former players. He has connections there. He's coached there before. We're going to get into that because, boy, would he be a great fit there. And Brad from the Voice of Morgantown actually already wrote an article on it. I'm just going to read that one because it pretty much sums up everything I was going to say. Not only that, but West Virginia basketball has a secret weapon this year, and I'm not kidding. And so I'm bringing on somebody that knows a lot about this secret weapon, and we're going to talk about it. So let's dig in, guys. It's going to be a fun episode. Thankfully, we have some content for once, and guess what? My X account's back to working again. So all is right in the world for the most part. So I really appreciate you guys for stopping in. Don't forget to like the video as you come in. Subscribe to the channel if you're new around here, guys. And don't forget the Super Chat button is wide open if you want to donate to the channel in any way, shape, or form. Before we get moving here, I'm going to go ahead and do what pays the bills. And we're going to talk about, of course, Magic Shine. So give me 1 minute here and we'll do that. Today's video is sponsored by Magic Shine Auto Spawn Tint in Morgantown, West Virginia. At Magic Shine, your vehicle's care is their top priority. They use only the highest quality products to ensure your car not only looks its best, but is also protected and maintained with the utmost care. From window tinting with top-of-the-line Max Pro Tint to protective ceramic coatings from Diamond Protect, they've got you covered. Drive in today and experience the difference of Magic Shine Auto Spawn Tint, where your car shines like new. And don't forget to shine on, Morgantown. All right, guys. Thank you guys for being here. Jacob Yoho, Timothy Green, Jeffrey Morgan, Todd Strickland. Simo, nice to see you. Haven't seen you in a couple videos, it seems like. John Kristovich, nice to see you. Tosh, good to see you here again. Glenn Marsh, it's been a while for you. And Robert Knuckles, haven't seen you in a while either, man. Glad to see all you guys here in chat. And those of you watching through X, thank you for watching. If you don't care, repost the video while you're watching it. Please, it only takes, if you want to support me, the best way you can do it is just repost this video right now as you're watching it, and we'll get this chat full up. So I really would appreciate that if you could, if you feel like it. Okay, guys, so let's share a screen real quick and talk about this news here. So yesterday, a picture surfaced. This is Bob Huggins with the AD of Akron. Let's go ahead and read the article alongside this here. Give me 1 second. All right. So over here on X, Voice of Morgantown actually really wrote a pretty good article on this earlier. And so looks like we're still on that. So I have to change the screen back over again. My apologies. All right. So Bob Huggins could be a perfect fit at Akron. Legendary head coach Bob Huggins has been out of coaching since his DUI arrest in Pittsburgh and forced resignation from West Virginia University shortly after. Huggins, who is 70, has expressed multiple times he would like to continue coaching. However, I have taken responsibility for the mistake and have taken a course to verify that such a mistake will not occur in the future, Huggins said. I would like to get back on the sidelines and continue coaching, but it would have to be the right situation. I love working with young people. When I was a freshman in high school, I was coaching other kids at the camp with my dad. I love to coach. I love to help people, Huggins said. Huggins went on to say, I love West Virginia and the people of West Virginia, and I was born and raised here. I don't really want to leave West Virginia, but I don't think I have much of a choice. It's clear that Huggins wants to continue coaching, and the right opportunity may have presented itself to the legendary head coach. Huggins was seen in a picture from last night with Akron's director of athletics, Charles Guthrie, and longtime supporter of the Akron Zips basketball program, Kevin Thompson, who also happens to be very good friends with Huggins, which here's the picture. Charles Guthrie, it looks like he's the guy, Akron AD is the guy that posted this. So that's pretty interesting in and of itself. Great evening with longtime supporter Kevin Thompson and former Zips men's basketball coach, legendary basketball coach Bob Huggins. Coach Hugg's tradition lives here. In addition to his close relationship with these two men, 3 of Huggins' former players are currently on the roster at Akron. Former Mountaineers Josiah Harris, James Okonkwo, and Seth Wilson all transferred to Akron during the offseason. Harris, a 6'7" sophomore, averaged 5 points, 4 rebounds last season at WVU. Wilson, a 6'2" guard, averaged 3.5 points and 1.7 for the Mountaineers. And Okonkwo played for North Carolina last season after playing at West Virginia under Huggins previously. With the player familiarity and Huggins' relationship with Guthrie and Thompson, a move to Akron makes an awful lot of sense for him at this stage in his career. He's truly serious about getting back into coaching. Huggins could potentially join the staff as an assistant coach under current coach John Groch. The Zips were 24-11 overall last season and won the MAC championship. And few people know Ohio recruiting better than Huggins, and he was the head coach at Akron from '84 to '89. Although Huggins doesn't necessarily want to leave West Virginia, returning to Akron, Ohio seems like the ideal situation to attempt to restore his image and get back on the sidelines where he belongs. So this is an interesting situation here, to say the least. Do I think Bob Huggins is going to coach again? No, I don't. So if you feel like the thumbnail was a little clickbaity, I apologize. But I think he was there to support the players. But it doesn't mean I honestly think there's probably a little bit of vetting going on there. I have no inside knowledge. But, what an add to a program he could be. Especially one like Akron that he's familiar with. Huggins is a loyal guy, so coaching somewhere he's already been would probably be appealing to him. It's all about the moral question you have to raise here is he ready, right? The phrase or slogan in recovery is plant, pet, person, right? If you can take care of a plant for 6 months, then you're ready for a pet. If you can take care of a pet for 6 months, maybe you're ready for a person. And I think similarly, you can apply this to Huggins, who is dealing with his own addiction battles with alcoholism. Is it too early in his recovery for him to coach? I don't think this is something that the average person would ask, but being that I have a history in addiction, it's something I think about with Huggins a lot. Where is his recovery at? Is he even a year sober yet? I don't know. But to think that the stressors that come with coaching inevitably probably led to some of his alcoholism. And I just want to point that out. Getting him back into a situation that's both familiar, which is, one of the things they ask you to stay away from is things that you would closely associate your alcoholism or addiction with. Is coaching basketball something that Bob Huggins associates drinking with? Maybe celebrating after a win. Maybe drinking whenever to not think about some of the stressors that come along with being a coach. And I think these are important questions that need to be asked in a situation like this that I doubt are being asked because he's Bob Huggins. And he's probably sober in this moment in time. I don't know that for a fact, but I'm guessing he probably is because everybody's holding him accountable. If you care about him at all, you would be and should be, right? If you saw Huggins with a martini at an event, you damn better say something, right? Not saying he is, just saying that's how it should work. But not everybody knows these type of things. I want him to get back into coaching, even if he wants to and if he's healthy enough to. I just question from the recovery side of things, somebody that's been clean for 5 years. I can tell you that it took me almost 4 years to completely recover from what I was going through, but there are levels to it, right? The basic text in Narcotics Anonymous says there are levels to it, and it says it like this. Different people differ in degree of sickness right? And level of addiction. So, what does that mean exactly? Some people only snort drugs. Some people sell their body for drugs, right? It's some people inject drugs. Some people would never do that, but they still do drugs. And I make these points not to preach or anything like that, but to just make a point here. I don't know the level to which Bob Huggins' alcoholism stemmed or went to, uh, but if he's an addict, the old saying in recovery is if he's an addict like me, uh, then he needs to stay away from this, that, and the other thing. And unfortunately, I don't know Bob Huggins on a personal level to speak on those type of things with any type of gumption, right? So, um, from afar, all I can say is I think Bob Huggins deserves to be happy in retirement. I think he deserves to coach again. I just don't know if now is the time. And although everything looks to be lined up with this Akron squad, a team that won the MAC last year, by the way. But you have to ask yourself, with the Tim Tebow effect coming to play here, would Bob Huggins be a distraction for a team like Akron? Would the questions come for the players and the coaches? And would Groach be looking over his shoulder for a guy like Huggins, inevitably, if the Zips go through a tough stretch? I think these are all things that you have to consider in a situation like this. Let me know how you guys feel down below. If you're watching this video now or after the fact, it would be greatly appreciated if you could drop a comment below and let me know how you feel about that, guys. I'm certainly entitled to an opinion, but so are you. And if you don't agree, that's fine. That's what we're here for. That's what we're here to talk about. All right, we got a lot of Huggins comments here. So, smack the devil, you did. You finally made it to a live screen. Good to see you. Lizdell Barnes or Lightsell Barnes is here. Glad you're here. Glad you're here, guys. Missed you guys. Pokemon Kid Entertainment says Huggins don't need to be there. He needs to stay retired and enjoy his life. Possibly so. Timothy Green, I have a question for everyone in the chat. Please, do you all think Bob Huggins should coach again? I'll tell you my answer after I hear all of yours. So Pokemon says no. Robert Knuckles says coaching was the natural for Huggins. Dealing with the administration at WVU was a stressor for Bob. I don't know that that's entirely true, Robert, but you're entitled to that opinion for sure. But, coaching in and of itself without administration, although trust me, you're right with that. Not saying you're wrong, but coaching in and of itself does come with its own stressors. So, all right, guys, we'll continue the Bob Huggins talk for another couple of minutes, but I do want to bring on a guest, somebody that I'm really excited to bring on. This guy is from the Daily Memphian, and he is here to discuss a secret weapon I believe the West Virginia Mountaineers are going to be able to employ in 2024. John Barless, welcome to the show. This is Hoops from the Hills, and we can't thank you enough for showing up.
Hey, thank you, Paul. Can you hear me?
Absolutely.
Okay, great. I've never done a setup like this before, so I appreciate you having me. I'm technologically challenged, so I'm glad I'm doing it right. So I appreciate that a lot.
No problem, man. Listen, I was too. I when I was in school, we didn't really have. I'm 40. We didn't really do the computers or anything that much when I was in school. It was just starting. So as I went through life, it's not something I really know a ton about either. But I'm learning as I go through this journey in content creation. So you work for the Daily Memphian. Memphian, is that how you say it?
Yes, sir. Daily Memphian. We're an online-only daily newspaper in Memphis. I mean, it's a full-service newspaper. We cover it all: sports, news, culture, everything. And we're growing. We started about when did we start? About 6 years ago now. So we're growing every day. We got a really good team, and I'm blessed to be a part of it for sure.
Okay, awesome, man. Where can people find you guys?
We're online anywhere in the world, dailymemphian.com, and you can subscribe. You can, we got free articles that you can check out. If you like what you see, you can subscribe. And we would definitely love to, for anybody that's interested, anybody that's watching me today, check us out. We would definitely love to have all all the support we can get for sure.
Absolutely. Well, listen, we have a lot of West Virginia fans in here, but we have a lot of sports fans in here as well. So, whether it's the Tigers and Penny, or if it's the Tennessee Vols or the Memphis football team, whoever it is, we follow it all around here. We're big overall sports fans. Just curious, I know you told me through text that you probably wouldn't have anything anybody would want to hear on the Huggins situation. But just as a basketball fan, from that point of view, what is your overall take on the Huggins situation, how that played out for West Virginia and Huggins, being that there was alcoholism involved, always makes it tricky. Sounds like he's been sober for a while now. If he were to able to kick that bucket one more time, get into coaching, just curious what your personal opinion is on that.
Well, I'm not opposed to second chances, Paul. I'm really not. I think I'll preface that by saying, I just personally from my own life experiences and things like that, I've got very low tolerance for drinking and driving and things like that. I can't really abide by that. That's not something I'm going to, ever try to justify or ever try to excuse. Now, having said that, if Coach Huggins were to, undergo treatment and have a sincere conviction and a sincere change in lifestyle, I'm not certainly not opposed to anybody having a second chance at doing what they love. I just don't know. And again, like I told you, I don't know. I'm not intimately familiar with
the ins and the outs.
Yeah. I don't know all the ins and the outs. I don't know if I don't know if West Virginia would be better served by just having Coach Huggins go away and that kind of thing, and
right.
Not try to keep.
It's a good question. We all don't know the answer to. Honestly, it's been really touchy with that situation, unfortunately, and we all love him so much. He's such a part of us. He's a West Virginian through and through, and is a champion for the state. So it's been a tough situation for us all to just see him go through, but also realizing the ramifications of what could have been. So it's been a tough balancing act to try to stay firm in the middle on it. But, he did go through a program, and he has been sober for close to a year, which I'm in recovery, a person in recovery, and have been for 5 years. My audience all knows about that.
Yeah.
So I have, in what I would consider intimate knowledge of what that process is like. A year is not long enough, in my opinion, to just be sober, clean, to get back into a job as stressful as coaching. but I do hope he gets back into it someday. Maybe next year or something would be a good time for him. But it was pretty cool. Basically, he was at an event yesterday with Akron, and 3 of his former players transferred to Akron, which is what makes that more of a story. That the fact he also coached there at one point in time in the 80s. So people were trying to say, oh, okay. So that's really all it was. Appreciate you for answering that.
Yeah, and I'll say this too. We here in Memphis are really familiar with Coach Huggins from his days at Cincinnati. Coaching against Memphis.
Yeah.
2-3 times every year in the same in the same conferences. I'm sure. I'm sure everybody wishes the best for him, but I think probably the most important thing right now is what's best for Bob Huggins the person, and not necessarily Bob Huggins the basketball coach or Bob Huggins the West Virginia icon. What is the best thing right now for Bob Huggins the person and his health and his life and his family. I think that's probably what we should all be rooting for, whatever that is.
I 100% agree with you. So I'm going to look for something really quick to put on here. I totally forgot to add it, which it's not necessary. I could just read it off my phone here. I'm just going to read it for everybody. And then we're going to, it's pertaining to what I brought you on about. My apologies. I totally forgot to add it to the thing down there. But this is, I've kind of teased this as like a secret type weapon for West Virginia coming into 2024. And I'm really interested to know what you're going to say about this. So here is what it says. Pertaining to this person, we're talking about KJ Tenner, okay, who was a freshman for West Virginia. This is an excerpt for somebody who was at practice, a media member. How? Why? The simple answer is Tenner. blue, which is the starting five, even though they haven't technically named them that. The people we would expect to start for this team were in blue. Had a difficult time staying in front of him. Basically impossible, which meant he kept getting into the lane over and over again. The defense, and he was making plays on his own or off the reactions. He hit runners, he threw lobs, he zipped passes to either side. Tenor was in the paint over and over. To be fair, Powell and Harris hit jumpers, and Andre scored from close to account for some of the offense. But Tenor was the difference. This is a kid that, to very little fanfare, coming in as not a highly recruited kid. Did get some looks from some big schools, don't get me wrong. But West Virginia had I think he was a top 200 player in Carmelo Atkins, basically ready to sign. And Darren DeVries said, no, I want my guy when he came in from Drake. He and Tenor had a previous relationship. And I thought that was interesting when it happened. And I talked to both kids when it happened, and it was interesting. And then I watched the tape on Tenor. And I was like, holy cow, this kid's got something to him. John, you covered him. I seen that you covered him intimately, sometimes play to play. So you've seen this kid and what he can do. What makes him such a special talent, and why shouldn't the West Virginia fans overlook KJ Tenor?
Well, I think there's a lot of things, Paul. I mean, the first thing is his maturity, just his makeup, just the kind of young man he is. He's a born leader. He's extremely intelligent. He's extremely personable. I mean, he's when he was in high school, he was like a little adult. He's the kind of kid you could sit and talk to and have a conversation with. A lot of times you go out and talk to these kids, and it's just it's just, I mean, you've done it before. It's an interview. You get what you need to get, and you move on. But with a kid like KJ, you can sit down and talk and have actual conversations, and because he can hold up his end of the deal with it, because he's just so mature and just kind of wise beyond his ears. So that part of it is major. And then you add the basketball part of it. I mean, he's fearless on the court. He's he's just a natural scorer. At high school, he could score at all three levels, at the rim, mid-range and outside as well. And he's an underrated passer. Now, his role in high school, was to be more of a scorer. But I think when he gets into college and gets into, a West Virginia situation with other good players around him, I think you'll see his passing game develop a little bit, his distribution. So when you combine those two things, I mean, I think it was really cool that he was, Coach DeVries was able to bring him in from Drake. I was, me personally, I thought it was a good thing for him and a kind of a feather in his cap to be playing at a program like West Virginia. I think it's just a tremendous opportunity for him, and I'm excited that you guys are already kind of starting to see a little of what we've seen here in Memphis the last 3-4 years.
He's got a list of accomplishments that if he wasn't 6 feet tall, probably that's generous for him. Looking at him, he could be 5'11", but
it's generous.
Yeah. So Cordova, which is, from what I've been told, not a powerhouse year to year in Tennessee. Is that correct?
Well, they're traditionally a strong program. I mean,
they are. Okay.
Yeah.
So I was told wrong. Okay.
Yeah, this past year, they were one game away from the state tournament, and KJ had a bruised knee, and that's probably why they lost that game. The coach told me if it was a regular season game, he probably wouldn't have even, bothered to play him. But since it was a sub-state game, he felt like he didn't have any choice, and he was, pretty limited in what he could do. And they were playing on the road, and therefore they lost. So no, they were one game away from the state tournament this year. They were ranked, top 2 or 3 in the state all year long in the largest public school classification. So they're a pretty solid program year in and year out.
Terrific. Thanks for the insight. So just looking at some of his accomplishments here. So prior to West Virginia, attended Cordova High in Memphis. He won Mr. Basketball in Class 4A in the state of Tennessee this past season after he averaged 21 points a game. He was recently named the Memphis Commercial Appeal 2024 Boys Basketball Player of the Year, and he led the city of Memphis in scoring as a sophomore, averaging 28 points per game and then 23 points per game as a junior. He reached 1,000 points after just 42 games, the fastest to reach that milestone in school history. So, long story short, he can fill it up.
He can, and let me throw in right quick too. He was the Daily Memphian Player of the Year too. Let's get that.
Okay, the Daily Memphian Player of the Year too.
Yeah.
So, John, what is 4A in Tennessee? Is that the highest level?
Yeah, that's the highest. The highest enrollment public school. So we're talking, 17, 1,800 students and up.
Okay, right around what West Virginia's is. Okay,
right.
So what is the Memphis Commercial Appeal?
That's our competition newspaper. That's the legacy newspaper here in town.
Gotcha. They've got all the fanfare basically, and you guys are trying to knock them off the pedestal.
We're the new kids on the block. I actually, but yeah, we're the new kids on the block.
Well, we're glad to promote you guys here. Then we're glad to do it. All right, looking at the chat here really quick, I thought I saw some stuff. We got a few welcome to the show Johns here, so a lot of people welcoming you to the show.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Appreciate you guys a lot.
Leo Cole, hey Paul, what do you think about John Rothstein? Yeah, I was going to get into this, Leo, of CBS Sports early rankings for the Big 12 Basketball Conference. He has West Virginia ranked 15 out of 16 teams, only ahead of Oklahoma State. Look, if you're just looking at this from a John Rothstein, who does deep dives, don't get me wrong, he does, but, considering the situation with the brand new head coach Darren DeVries, who, in my opinion, was the second best hire, if not the best hire of the cycle, based on everything I've been told and what he did in college. This is a team that is got 11 new guys, right? That's really hard to do. West Virginia returned one player, and that player played in 7 games. So Rothstein's looking at this from that aspect. There's only been 1 or 2 teams that have done well with that to add that many players in the portal as far as like a deep run of the tournament. Iowa State's one of those. But it's hard to do generally. Nobody's figured out through just the portal only how to make a real national championship type winner yet. Usually it's a mixture of people coming back along with transfers that you need to just plug in. So I think he's looking at this from an outside perspective, and the Big 12 just stacked, man. It just is. It's easily, the most consistent conference in college basketball, and most people say the best. So just to answer your question, I wouldn't be surprised to see that change as the year goes. We're definitely not 15th out of 16th, I'll tell you that. But, their preseason rankings are just that, Leo. They're preseason. Don't look too much into it. But I will say this. If we get out of Tenor what I think we can out of him, and listen, Darren DeVries also said this, John, during a press conference there about a week ago. He said, this is high praise. He's pushing. And this is just blows me away. A guy like Javon Small for the starting job. Like, it's not as clear cut as people think for that, which is insane because there are some people that think he was the best point guard in the Big 12 last year, even though they played on a bad team. You average almost 16 a game, 16 and 5, 16 and 6, or whatever it was in the Big 12 was just incredible. So he said he would be comfortable with starting him right now. That's how mature he is. That doesn't shock you any?
No, it really doesn't. One thing about it, Paul, and for the, for your West Virginia audience there too, the thing about Memphis high school basketball in particular is it is just unbelievably tough and unbelievably hard nosed, night in and night out. And I'm talking about, even a girls game, between the smallest private schools. I mean, even there, they're going to get after it, and they're just going to get after it. So that, so KJ Tenor is, he's been through the grind. He's been through the wars, night in and night out. Yeah. Maybe he's not playing, 5-star talent every single night or every single game, but he has honed that toughness and that competitive edge, where you put that along with his maturity and along with his talent. Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised. That's why it really doesn't surprise me that Coach DeVries is so high on him. Clearly they got a good relationship. He followed him from Drake, and so yeah, it doesn't surprise me at all. I mean, he's been through the wars, he's been through the battles, and to step into a Big Ten schedule like that and have the coach, count on him to contribute, as a first-year player, it really doesn't surprise me at all.
It's pretty high praise, it really is. And here's the thing. I've said this from the very, very beginning. Darren DeVries knows guards. If you go back and look at his pass at Drake, he has found a way at a lower level to get really, 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 really high-quality guard play. It's just something he has and his staff have a knack for doing. And so I saw that for what it was. And then whenever he was pretty hard set on a guy like Titter, who was vastly underranked compared to a Carmelo Atkins, it made me pause, because I had to look into Titter. And that's what we're doing here for a second, John. This is Titter's page. I want you to see some stuff on him at practice, if you don't care. I'm going to enlarge this video really quick. So this is him with Javon Small guarding him, the starting point guard for West Virginia. Coming off the screen. This is the second team. And a familiar sight is that dang floater in the middle of the floor. How often did you see him hit that in high school? It's insane. He's got it from the free throw line, a floater. You don't see it that often. I got a buddy of mine that does another West Virginia channel, Country Roads Webcast. We joke about Titter's floater all the time because it's lethal.
Yeah, he's really adept at that, Paul. He we saw him develop that over the years. He can shoot the 3-pointer, but that's the thing. He got a lot of his points at Cordova, doing just that, driving to the paint among taller players and relying on that floater. And that's, that goes back to what I was saying a few minutes ago about him, kind of being fearless, despite his lack of size and his lack of, frame right now. He is, he's been playing like this for a long time, and this is comfortable for him. For KJ, this is just basketball, and this is just doing what he's always done. The guys at West Virginia are going to be better, they're going to be bigger, but for him, this is what he's always done.
It's insane, man. So here's the voice of Morgantown. Head coach Darren DeVries said today that freshman guard KJ Titter is, quote, the biggest surprise on the basketball team so far. So, it's just pretty crazy, man. Here is another quick video
from Cordova High School
on Titter. Let me pause that. But yeah, he is not a big kid, he's really not. But if you look at his arms and stuff, like, he's really long for a shorter kid, which I think helps him a lot. But really, it's just how good he is at finishing. He's one of the better finishers I've seen in high school basketball in a long, long time. It really is.
Yeah, he really is, Paul. And later on, if you get a chance, there was a game in his sophomore year against Germantown High School in Memphis, and so that might be how you can find it. Cordova versus Germantown or KJ Titter versus Germantown. He scored 48 points in the game, but he scored probably 34 of those in the fourth quarter, and we're talking about an 8-minute quarter. And if I'm not mistaken, those were the only points Cordova scored in that quarter. It's just an incredible display of, taking over a basketball game and shot making. And at the end of it, his last couple of buckets were, 3-pointers from, just over the half court line. He was in the zone that night. So if you want to see something, just for fun, check that. Try to search that out if you can.
It's so interesting. I'm really excited about him. We've got a freshman on the football team as well that I'm really excited about. And I'm trying to think of, who am I more excited about between KJ Titter and the other kid, because man, they're both extremely exciting in their own ways. Thank you for coming on and talking about this. And I feel like, in a weird way, you're going to have to be part of this season with us now a little bit, especially if he shows out and shows up. I'm going to bring you on and get more reaction from you on it, because I think you provide a really unique perspective, being that you knew him before anybody really did outside Tennessee.
Well,
Did
well,
he have any high or like middle school? Did people see this coming?
Well, I mean, they did. I mean, the thing of it is, you guys may remember a player named Tyler Harris who also played at Cordova. He played at Iowa State.
Iowa State,
Yeah,
yeah.
he played at here at the University of Memphis too. Tyler was immediately before KJ at Cordova, and they're similar players. They're both really little. They're both they're just very similar players. And Tyler was the previous. I'm sure he was the previous fastest to 1,000 points at Cordova. So I say that to say, when KJ kind of came through the path, came down the pike, there was a comparison. Well, we got another Tyler Harris on our hands, and while he didn't maybe he didn't score quite as much as Tyler Harris, in a lot of ways he really did fulfill that potential, by winning Mr. Basketball, by taking Cordova to within a game of getting back to the state tournament. I mean, he really did fulfill a lot of the promise and a lot of the expectation that a lot of the people had of him. And if he can go on and have the career like I think he can at West Virginia, I mean, the sky's the limit, and I'll be delighted to come on and help you guys as much as I can.
Awesome, man. Smack the Devil said, I'm glad to hear we have a freshman competing and pushing for a starting position. It can make the whole team better. Completely agree, buddy. Civil Mar, good to see you, man. The quick recap is basically Bob Huggins went to Akron we're assuming to visit some of his former players, because let's keep it real. All three of those guys he would know for several years now. So they were both in his program for multiple years. All three in his program for multiple years. So it makes sense that he would be there to support them, and he coached there. But I wanted to speculate on, could there be something more here? Because it wouldn't be out of the realm of possibility for Coach Huggins to get a job again. It's just, you got to ask the questions about his sobriety first. Then you have to ask the questions about, would he be okay with being second or whatever in command on any team, because it's Bob Huggins, So, because for the head coach, obviously, how does he say his last name there, Akron? Is it Groce or Groce? Do you know? Groce, the head coach at Akron. John, do you know how he pronounces it?
I don't know. Probably Gross, Groce. Yeah.
Okay, wasn't sure if I was saying it right or not, but I mean, to some extent, especially if they struggled, people would be calling for Huggins. There's no doubt if he were actually on staff. So that, and then we talking about KJ Tenor, Mark, who is lighting it up, by far the most impressive. I shouldn't say by far. There have been other players do really well, but KJ is definitely one of the talk of practice so far, and I'm really excited to see what they do in Italy. They are going to Italy. You know how these teams go on the trips. They're going to Italy, and they're playing the under 20 teams there, I believe. So they're going to get some. Bob Huggins championed it for years. Said it was, as far as the overseas experiences he's had goes, the ones in Italy seem to be the most competitive. So that'll be fun. Thank you for the $10 super chat here, Mark. Keep up the good work, Paul. Thank you. Really appreciate that, man. It means a ton. That button is always open, guys, if you want to support the show. And then also as well, if some of you like to do Cash App, that's ROCKEL 85. So thank you guys very much for that. John, I think the last thing I have to ask you for before we let you go here, and we're also going to let you promote your business one more time, or where you work for. Is it your business or where you work?
Oh, it's where I work. I wish it was my business.
Okay, well, I wasn't sure. I need a prediction, man. If you don't care, try to make one for KJ Tenor. Obviously, he's probably going to be in I would imagine, a 6th, 7th guy type of role this year. I don't think he'll overtake Javon Small. If he does, that means he's an All-American or close to it. What do you think for Tanner this year? What do you think? What can you see? Like, what could you see for him?
What I think my ceiling for him this year, Paul, would be, to be on the floor, eventually to be on the floor during important minutes and important situations. I foresee a situation where he'll be coming off the bench. Probably have some double-digit scoring games as the season progresses. But ultimately, I think he'll be a guy that can be on the floor and be a contributor for West Virginia in key situations and in the biggest games. I think he's eventually going to develop into a player that you guys are not worried about. Not 1 minute when he's on the floor. When KJ's on the floor, you say, okay, at least we got KJ out there. We're in good shape.
I think because we've been told that this team as of right now has two really good groups of 5, and I already feel good about him heading up that second group. I really do. I think they can provide scoring spark, most definitely, because they've got 3 guys in the starting lineup that averaged 20 points a game last year. So that's another reason I don't think this team's going to be 15, but that's a whole other story. Have you followed Tucker DeVries or any of those at all, Drake or any of the players that we've had transfer in? I mean, obviously, you can't follow every player in college basketball. I'm just curious.
No, I really can't say that I have. I mean, I've always admired West Virginia football from afar. I mean, I remember vividly, going back to Major Harris. I mean, that was a heck of a
Now
time.
you're talking our language.
Yeah, that was a heck of a time in college football. But no, currently I can't really say that I'm up on West Virginia basketball. I do know that, just based on history, I agree. I'd be surprised if you guys were as low as 15th. That seems kind of low for a program with West Virginia's pedigree. But no, I mean, I wish you guys, lots of luck. And I mean, who knows? Maybe we'll cross paths with you guys one day on the basketball court.
I have to ask now. You mentioned football, so let's go there really quick.
Yeah.
Are you okay? Obviously, you work for the Daily Memphian, but who are you a fan of?
Not really a fan of anybody. Kind of working as a journalist as long as I have, I kind of root for people and stories more than anything. Like I'll be rooting for KJ in West Virginia this year, but I'll be rooting for for kids at some of the other schools I've covered as well. That's kind of
Interesting.
That's
Okay.
kind of where I am at my point in my development.
West Virginia's in a pretty cool situation this year. Obviously, they were picked dead last in the Big 12 last year and had an amazing season for a team that was picked last with 9 wins, should have been 10, if not for the Houston Hail Mary. So they returned almost 80% of that production this year on a team that won 9 games and most definitely should have won 10. So we're really excited about the upcoming season. Penn State week 1 won't be easy. So definitely keep an eye on the Mountaineers this year, John. We're excited. We haven't been this excited since I'd say 16, at least 2016 for a team.
Well, same here in Memphis. I mean, the Tigers, they're coming off a 10-win season, and like West Virginia, they're bringing back a bunch of talented guys too. And a lot of the preseason, a lot of the preseason picks have Memphis as that group of 5 representative in the playoff. And if that were to come to pass, I mean, that would just be an amazing thing for this program that's never had anything like that, really.
It's got to happen soon, especially if Florida State and Clemson happen at any point in time. Memphis has got to be the next call up, right? I mean, you hear USF as that other school that a lot of people talk about that would be good for that. But Memphis, because of the connection to FedEx especially, right? I mean, that's the one connection you look at with Memphis and say, that makes sense. Because FedEx is not behind – they're behind Memphis, right? And so, assuming wherever Memphis goes, I would imagine it'll spell like the Big 12. That would probably mean brand partnerships and this, that, and the other. I don't know that for sure. But honestly, I thought they were going to get in this past round.
Well, and we could probably talk another good hour on that, Paul, which I know you don't want to do, but that is a long torturous history of Memphis and its near misses and close calls with various conferences. I mean, like you, hopefully, I'm like you. Hopefully, it'll come to pass one day. But right now, that football program is probably in about as good a position as it can possibly be with Ryan Silverfield and the job he's done there here in the last few years. So we're excited. We're excited for football season 2, and I think it's going to be a really fun year. And then it's on to hoops.
So, what is that? Hennigan? Is that the quarterback?
Yeah, Seth Hennigan. Yeah, he's
the mobile kid.
Yeah, you talk about a unicorn, Paul. I mean,
he's something else.
Well, I mean, he's a unicorn because he's going to be a 4-year starter at quarterback at the same school. I mean, where's that happening anymore these days?
Very rarely, very rarely. Pat White, famously was the only. I don't know if he may still be the only quarterback in NCAA history when he left West Virginia to start and win 4 bowl games at the same school. It's one thing to start at the same place for 4 years. It's a whole other thing to go to 4 straight bowl games and then win all 4. That's an unprecedented level of success. And man, we missed the Pat White years. I'll tell you, those are some good years for us, man. I wish Memphis Tigers luck this year. Sutton Smith, I remember, is the running back, correct?
Yeah. Him. I mean, got some good receivers coming back to defense. And they did well in the transfer portal too. I mean, you mentioned FedEx. I mean, they threw a considerable commitment to the NIL, for the university football, basketball, all sports really. But
Penny's got some big wins this year, especially in basketball.
Well, he's got a tough schedule, and the roster is going to be pretty much brand new once again. So that's going to be tricky, but his conference is winnable. It's certainly not as competitive as like where West Virginia plays, for instance. The AAC is not nearly as competitive as some of the power conferences out there.
Yeah, we play in the same set as Marshall though.
Yeah.
Which a lot of people think they should move up even, but that's a whole other story too. Timothy Green, one more question before you let you go, John. Said, I have a question for John. Do you think there are any other players on that team that can play for a power school? And since he didn't specify, maybe just talk. I guess he's got to be talking about football, doesn't he? Because Memphis is basically Power 5 basketball. I mean,
yeah, basically. No, I mean, Memphis has several players. I mean, one kid coming in as a transfer this year that they're really excited about with the leading tackler at the University of Tennessee last year, and he's transferring into Memphis. So they've been able to attract some really, really good guys in the transfer portal, and certainly if some of these guys were to elect to move on, I think they could play at a higher level than Memphis. I don't think there's any question about it. I mean, certainly there's. At least with Seth Hennigan, we're talking about. Certainly, there's Power 5 people out there that could use a quarterback like him. There's no doubt about that.
They had to pay him,
Yeah, you know how it is, Paul. You know what they're doing nowadays.
Yeah, buddy. I'm going to pull up your X account really quick for people to see. All right, let me do that really quick before you go. Okay, so this is John Varlas. He obviously got a nice following as well, writing for the Daily Memphian. So give him a follow, guys. He's obviously a super nice guy, intimately knows KJ as well. So as far as from a journalist perspective. So I think he's somebody that I feel kind of connected to as a West Virginia fan now. And can't thank him enough for coming on the show. That's at John Varlas. It doesn't get much more simple than that.
That was one of the smart things I did, Paul. I just kept in my name, and they can't take your name away from you.
They can't take. That's true. They'll damn sure try these days, though, won't they? Tell us what we can call ourselves and everything, but that's a whole other ball of wax. John, thanks for coming on, man, and go check out John, guys. DailyMemphian.com for any kind of story inside or outside of Memphis and Tennessee. John, thanks for coming on, sir.
Appreciate you a lot, Paul, anytime, and I really, really hope you guys have a great season, man. Take care.
All right, man. Thank you. Guys, stick around for a couple more minutes. We're going to talk some more some little more on just whatever you guys want to talk about. Might as well stick around. I wanted to answer one question about Coos, which is fine. It was Double A that asked. Yeah. Where's Coos? And if I haven't updated you guys in a while on the situation, basically just Coos and I, we weren't seeing eye to eye really anymore on some things. And then obviously you grow apart from people. When we tried to turn a friendship into a partnership, and it just didn't work out on both ends. I made my share of mistakes in the whole thing. I was really hard headed at times. And Coos, who is an absolute saint of a person, I can honestly say, we just decided that, I basically bought him out for the half the channel because he helped build this, right? So he was compensated for that. And he also really doesn't have enough time to put into basketball. I mean, he will cover it from time to time, but on his show, I think I've seen him do a couple times recently, but generally he's a football only guy. So, but there was nothing really, there's no hard feelings or anything like that. So we just kind of weren't seeing the same vision anymore. But I would never get out here and badmouth the guy or anything like that. That's just not how I operate. But hopefully you can like the show without Coos Double A. I totally understand if you don't, because Coos obviously was a big part of the show, and maybe the only reason you watched, which is fine. I'm certainly not for everybody, and I can accept that. So, but I would certainly like to keep you if you want to stick around. So either way is fine with me. But hopefully you enjoy the journey here with me. It will be a lot of fun. Back to the Huggins thing, though. Does anybody have anything else they wanted to say as far as that goes? It's a tough situation, really, for Hugs especially. And I've got my own opinions on it as far as how long he's been clean, but generally, like, if he got into coaching again tomorrow, I would be so excited, So I'm really hoping that whatever needs to happen happens in this situation. Whatever the best thing actually is happens. That's what I'm hoping for. So that's kind of where I stand on it. But if you missed the show, guys, basically we talked about KJ Tenner, who is just, like I said, the secret weapon. I think he's, nobody really knows about him yet. He's going to be big time this year, guys, big time. I really believe that. And then there was the Rothstein poll as well, which West Virginia was placed 15th out of 16 teams. We just can't get no respect. We're like Rodney Dangerfield. but for real, like, we can't get no respect. So just crazy stuff, guys. But if there's nothing else you guys want to talk about, that's really all I had. Just wanted to leave the chat open for a few more minutes for any chat to come in, super chat, whatever you want to do. It doesn't even have to be super chat, but just wanted to give people time. So Jacob Yoho, thanks for commenting. He said there's not going to be any live streams in Italy. So you checked already? It's just not something I had thought to do, but I wasn't sure if, maybe somebody on the team could do it, or I don't know. Maybe West Virginia could send somebody along to film it. That would be really cool. If they did that and put it up on their social media page live, it'd get hundreds of thousands of hits, you would think. But then again, maybe nobody cares. I don't know. I know I'd watch. I'd be watching, but I'll be waiting for the updates. That's for sure. Then again, maybe they're glad that nobody will be watching, so they can kind of run their stuff and do whatever they want to do. Mark said we'll be sneaky good this year. I agree, Mark. I definitely think we'll be top half of the league. Top 7. Completely agree, Tim. Completely agree. Timmy said, whatever is best for Huggins is what we all want. I'm with you, brother. All right, guys. Thanks for joining this episode of Hoops from the Hills. Keep coming back as always. Thanks to Magic Shine for sponsoring the show. And other than that, guys, not a lot else to say. So until next time, this episode is over. I'm out.